Call the meeting to order.
Jenkins?
Here.
Harden?
Here.
Vaughn?
Here.
Kinley?
Here.
Pearl?
Here.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There being no proclamations or public comments, the first thing on our agenda this evening is the consent agenda.
I could make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll second
Call it.
Jenkins?
Yes.
Harden?
it.
Vaughn?
Yes.
McKinley?
Yes.
Pearl?
Yes.
Motion carried.
There being no unfinished business, we move to section 3, new business.
I'd make a motion to approve ordinance 924 for parking schedules?
I'll second it.
Discussion.
Where'd this come from?
We've had complaints mainly about boats that are parked out on the city right-of-way. Our ordinance that we currently have does not cover boats. So when I started checking around with what other towns have, when they do boats, they do the recreational vehicles as well. So, and we have had some problems where they are wanting us to try to get the boats off the streets. So if you're going to cover one, you just take care of everything at once instead of hodgepodge. So,
Well, how are you gonna enforce it?
well, that'll be up to the police department to determine how they're going to do the enforcement. I don't know
Because
if
it's
they're
gonna
gonna
be
do it
by them going out and doing it and saying, that I don't know if it's just like cars that aren't running, nothing will ever happen to it.
if they do it off of a complaint, someone coming in and complaining about it, then I would say that that's the way to take care of it. That's how other ordinances have been dealt with.
City right of way, that's on the street, right?
Yes.
So if they get in their front yard, it's not the street, or do they have to have it in the rear yard or the side like you got, like it's for that?
Well, some towns have said that you have to have it to the side. You can take this ordinance and you can tweak it however you want before you pass it. It's out there, you know, you bring these things around the table for discussion. I can tell you that there's, you know, one boat in particular that people have complained about time and time again. And we can't do anything about it.
Well, that's my question, there's some of them, there's some people that don't have a rear yard or can get to the rear yard and they got it in their front yard.
I guess depending on how you want to do it, Pat, you know, you say, well, then you need to get storage space.
Isn't, did this kind of get prompted by blocking the sidewalk?
There are at least 2 boats that are somewhat on sidewalks.
One of them on South Plum.
There is a boat on South Plum that's been a continual issue, yes. That would be one that would be addressed.
Immediately.
We've had numerous complaints about that boat.
Does this cover sidewalks?
Well, you're not supposed to obstruct the sidewalk.
There's already an
State statute says that you're not supposed to obstruct the sidewalk. We kind of deal with that on many different issues.
Okay. So this just kind of helps sum it all up?
Right. They can move the boat off of the sidewalk, and I can't go down there and tell you right now that it's necessarily obstructing the sidewalk, but they can move the boat a little bit, and size-wise, if it was to fit in there, and then we wouldn't be able to have any kind of enforcement action.
Let me bring something up to you guys, if you understand. Home rule. I've always been a big proponent of home rule. And home rule would be something, if we passed home rule in this town, not that things would change as they are right now until things are changed here, but you would have more power to do that here by doing it. You could sit there and say, you can't have that there at all. It's got to be covered up.
Well, I'm also looking at the fact that if you got people that are sharing driveways and they do have a boat there or something like that, we gotta keep it 3 foot off the line, we might be giving it to a neighbor right now. If you got a new neighbor, you got a big Might get a cat bite on it. It's,
Do we have anything in place now that can address that one particular boat we're talking about?
No. There are sections about that a boat must be able to be powered under its own power. That makes sense. It's a sailboat, so it doesn't have a motor on it. Trailer currently has valid registration on it, so we don't have any enforcement tools for that one particular boat. And this is not necessarily to single out that one particular boat. There are more boats out on the city street that have not moved all summer.
My only concern is I know where there's one, I guess it's a recreational vehicle, and he's not blocking a sidewalk, but in all honesty, he has no other place to go. So I don't know.
Well, the sad part about it is that if you try to fix one side of it,
Yeah.
you know, there might be some fallout on the other. It's out there for your review.
so we can table this and tweak it up a little more.
Sure.
Any other discussion?
Table or vote?
There would have to be a
I
motion.
would move to table ordinance 924.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion of that?
I just add that, bring me back some of your ideas or whatever. Or if you want to throw it in the trash can, you have the right to do that.
Well, I agree,
We
something
need
needs to be done.
something. I'm just, like I said, in that one particular case, he has no choice. In the other case, I think they do have a choice, they just choose not to. They have to use, good judgment, otherwise we just,
Not to be nitpicking on certain ones, we just need to get this to where it goes with everybody.
On tabling ordinance 924, parking schedules, call it.
Hardin,
yes.
Vaughn, McKinley,
Yes.
Pearl,
Yes,
Jenkins,
Yes.
motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 925, fences.
I'll second it.
Discussion.
Where'd this come from?
This is because we're having issues with, we don't have a local ordinance in place, so everything goes through DeWitt County zoning. Because we don't have anything in place, he doesn't realize where our utilities are. He'll go ahead, he'll sign off on it, allow people to put up fences, and then our meter readers can get to where they need to get to be able to read the meters. Line crew, they're getting blocked out in our alleys because of fences that are being built on East Green down behind Rennie Holmes last year. There was a power issue down there. The issue was behind Rennie's, but they had to get into a neighbor's yard, caused some extensive damage because the truck kind of bogged down there, tore up a neighbor's yard so they could go behind somebody else who put up the fence. So we're trying to get, and I talked with the county zoning officer, knowing that if we have some type of an ordinance in place, that before he gives the final passage, he'll come and check and make sure that it's good with us.
Yeah, I had firsthand, you had an issue on Market Street at one time, same situation.
We had there's a fence at the corner of Lincoln and Water, and they were changing zoning officers at the time. One had left, they brought in a younger fellow. We objected to the fence being where it was because if you're northbound on Lincoln and you look back to the east, that fence obstructs. And we didn't have anything in place that granted permission to put that fence up.
So this is gonna be for all future fences, not for what's already up.
That's correct.
Is there something we could do about the current fences that are up?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And the other thing I'll throw into this too is the alleys are something, we have a lot more alleys than what people realize in this town. And I think we need to start looking at making sure those things are open and get them open and contact the homeowners and stuff if they've got something hanging out back there or sitting back there, make sure. Now, I know we're gonna say, well, you maintain it. Yeah, to a point, we will, but also you maintain it too, keeping it open, because you realize, the other thing too is if we do have an ice storm, be the best way that you're gonna find out when you got an alley or not. You're gonna be the last one that's gonna get fixed, because we have to crawl a pole or whatever, so I go into your yard, we're not gonna come in there maybe until it gets a little more frozen or a little whatever. But I would sit there and point that out to them, but I think somewhere around the line, whether it's Rick, whether it's water superintendent, whatever, you need to start getting that taken care of.
Well, Rick had actually told me a couple of weeks ago that there was a fence that was going to be built because he had gotten a Julie on it, and that he's got power lines back down through this particular, excuse me, backyard, and he was concerned that if this fence, and it's a privacy fence, if it was to be built, that the guys wouldn't be able to get back in there and service that power line back in through there. So, I mean, we are trying to address an issue that comes up quite frequently, actually. So
We want to save our alleys.
Yeah. That could be a safety issue also, other than power.
And there again, the zoning, Mike Bradford has told me that, if we have passage of a local ordinance and he's aware of it, then he'll make sure that he comes in and checks before he gives any permission at their level. So if you see that, we're not charging a fee or anything, but we want to know what's going on.
I think we should know what's going on, everything like that.
Any other discussion? Call it.
Han,
Yes.
McKinley,
Yes.
Pearl,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Harden.
Yes.
Motion carried.
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 2013-23, West Street Underground.
I'll second.
Discussion.
What brought this up?
This is a project that has been in the works for many, many years, going back to the Don Crawford administration. And there's 200 blocks of West Street that Mr. Schwartz is going to pay to have underground service put in. He's paying for the entire thing. He's been paying for engineering all the way. He's paying to have the contractor come in. He's paying for all the materials.
So the numbers you got quoted on this resolution, would you like to pay for?
No, that's the start of it. This is our part, talking with Rick. Rick said that he would like to see this be a complete package. And on the page 2, where that STR7, that's the stopping point or the beginning point, however you want to look at it. That is where Mr. Schwartz is going to begin his underground project. Rick would like to see this phase taken from that STR7 into the substation of the light plant. That'll make that entire feeder. Is that feeder 4, Rick?
Yeah, that section, and take it from Allen Street to Water Street.
So that'll make that entire feeder an underground line. And it'll all be a new, obviously it'll be new, basically maintenance free.
Now, your STR is where, that's where the light plant's at?
No, that's the pole. That is the last pole.
About where Jim Hudson lives.
There's a driveway there, the back of that Beasley house. There's a pole there, and that would either be, however you want to look at it, that would be our beginning point.
And we're gonna go.
We're going north to the light plant. Now, the time to do this is obviously when L.E. Myers, the industrial contractor, is in town. And we don't have to pay for them to come to town. That's already being paid for. So we would have our engineering and our time and materials. That's what these are, estimates from DHMG.
You just wanted to add on to what he's gonna do.
Correct.
And why does he want to do that?
He does not like poles.
Other questions or discussion?
McKinley,
Yes.
Pearl,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
motion carried.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2013-24 for pharmacy garden club.
I'll second it.
What is the levy? How much is the levy? How much per dollar spend or per room night?
I'm sorry.
What is the levy?
I'm not sure how the hotel motel tax, what that rate is. Yeah,
Yeah, what?
It's a percentage.
Yeah.
I'd have to,
What,
I'd
what
have to,
percentage it is?
no, I'd have to.
2, 3, 4%, something like that, I assume.
Be pretty minimal. And this is something that we basically do each year, reimbursing for their flowers.
Any discussion? Call it.
Pearl,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
McKinley,
Yes.
motion carried.
This moves us to section 4, other items, the city manager's report.
There's just a few things on here. On July 18th, the EPA was out and they inspected the public water system. And they did find some areas of concern at the water treatment plant and in the water system. Some of that being some permits that had not been followed up on and completely obtained. There is a list coming out of those concerns, and I'll pass them on to you as soon as that's documented. Obviously, it's stuff that needs to be taken care of. Some of it is going to cost a couple bucks, and some of it's just paperwork. We're still fighting with the contractor, Bridgeway. They're the contractor out the farmland rest area. I've reported to you before about the pumps that had been damaged. And late today, I got an email from IDOT saying that they had established a meeting with the insurance carrier for Bridgeway. So next Tuesday, we're going to meet out at the rest area, and we're going to try to come up with some type of resolution for this. Obviously, nobody wants to assume the blame for our motors being damaged at the lift station. And with that, I had been asked a question, and I don't know if I answered it properly at the last council meeting. I was asked if there were backup motors for that particular lift station. There are backup motors. They've been mounted with a base that does not properly sit down inside that lift station wet well. They've talked with the design engineers. They're saying that the easy way to fix it is to get in there with a hammer and a chisel, knock a little bit of the concrete wall out to get it to sit down on the mountings properly. There is a gentleman here in town that is the local representative for the company that sold us the pump motors and the bases, and he's trying to come up with a base that will actually sit down in there. So not to answer that question incorrectly last time.
The contractor, they're questioning that they're the cause of the pumps going bad? When
Yes.
you're finding towels coming down there?
Yes, rag mop heads, yes.
And who else is on that line?
They are the line coming down. They are it.
Are they the only ones on that line coming into that
No.
lift station?
The only other ones would be Maxwell counters. The building out there, the old potato chip factory is on it because they're the ones that get the backflow whenever the sewer backs up.
Let's mark their mop heads.
Excuse me?
We'll coat their mop heads.
There we go. But they are, at the last I talked to them, they decided to get away from the rag mop heads and go to sponge mops. So evidently they're starting to believe that they may be the ones doing it. Fred Granning reported today that the spray patching crew is going to start this week. Farnsworth Group got a hold of them, kind of like to get it done before school starts. You'll see that there is a pre-construction meeting with Ileana on this Thursday here in City Hall. That's to discuss the asphalt overlay, and they got the award for the oil and chip as well. Something that had been discussed at previous city councils, a little bit at this one, is a walkway or pathway or whatever out to the subdivision. And I told you that I would check on it. The rough estimate came in. You see there's a price tag of approximately $58,000 attached to it. That's a pretty hefty chunk for sidewalk, but it's well over 2,000 feet from the end of Municipal Drive out to Oval Drive. Pretty good jog out there. We do have $30,000 set aside from the state of Illinois, so there's $28,000 shortfall that we would have to pick up with.
Can
And
TIF two be used for that?
it could be. We would have to reimburse it eventually. Now, keep in mind, and I don't have any proposal here, but the $30,000 from the state of Illinois, you know how fast you get money from the state. So you obviously have to spend up front and then wait for the money to come back.
You'd have to reimburse the TIF the 30,000.
Whatever the whole 58 until the 30 came in. So
Now, where would the sidewalk be? Which side of the highway?
the north side of the highway is how it's been, is being.
And how would you take it down from, you're going to go across the Maxwell Yard, across Cage, you're going to go across?
It would be on the IDOT right away, right on the north side of the ditch.
So you're going to take it, so it's going to go down past Randy's property, you're going to take it all the way?
Yes,
That's what I was gonna ask, can you go through any property, or you have to go out and go across?
it would be out on the
So-
right away.
How far off of that right-of-way goes, how far off the road? The edge of the road, let's say, roughly.
I don't know, I just realized that IDOT has been out there and they have given the preliminary blessings on doing it. So
And that is what?
they don't have any objections to having the sidewalk on their right of way. It has to be engineered, and then you take it back to them, and then their engineer up in Peoria would give the final okay.
So the 58,000 encompasses what? Concrete engineering?
Total.